I touch down like clockwork. Smooth. Effortless. The Gulf Stream G650 hums beneath me as I taxi toward my private hangar, the golden hues of sunset glinting off its pristine fuselage. Flying has always been my escape, my sanctuary in the sky. Up there, it's just me and the horizon. No stares, no whispers, no one questioning if I belong. But on the ground, different story. The airport I land at isn't a bustling international hub. It's my own private strip, tucked behind the upscale neighborhood where I live. I bought the land years ago, transformed it into my personal airfield. It's completely legal, entirely mine. But that doesn't stop people from assuming otherwise. I ease the plane to a stop, shutting down the engines as I glance toward the distant security gate. That's when I see her. A woman, stiff as a board, arms crossed, standing just beyond my property's boundary. She's in a crisp white blouse and beige slacks, classic HOA enforcer attire. Her mouth is pressed into a thin line, eyes narrowed with laser focus. Even from here, I can feel the weight of her judgment. I sigh. Not this again. I pop the cockpit hatch, stepping out into the warm evening air. The distant hum of cicadas fills the silence. Behind me, the hangar doors begin to roll open, revealing the sleek interior where I keep my fleet. A few maintenance workers nod in greeting, unfazed by my arrival. But the woman? She's rooted in place, hands now on her hips. I start toward her, rolling my shoulders, keeping my posture relaxed. She's just another HOA busybody, someone new, I'm guessing. They all come with the same attitude, assuming I don't belong, assuming they have authority over me. I'm used to it. But something about her stance, the way she grips her phone, makes my stomach knot with irritation. She's waiting, watching. I get within earshot before she speaks. "Excuse me, sir. You can't park that here." I blink. Park. She gestures toward my jet, voice clipped. "That plane. This is a residential neighborhood. You can't just..." She waves her hand like she's swatting a fly. "Bring an aircraft like it's a used car lot." I suppress a chuckle. She's serious. "I own this property," I say evenly. "This is my private airstrip." Her lips twitch, disbelief flashing across her face. "That's impossible. This is an HOA-regulated community. There are rules." There it is. The rules. The unspoken ones that don't seem to apply to certain neighbors, yet always seem to be thrown in my direction. I glance toward my jet, then back at her. "I promise you, there's no violation here." Her gaze sharpens. "We'll see about that." I watch as she clutches her phone tighter. There's something in her posture, in the way her knuckles go white against the case. I've seen that look before. It's not just about the plane. It's about me. And I already know where this is going. The next morning, I step outside with a coffee in hand, expecting nothing but the crisp morning air and the familiar hum of my estate coming to life. Instead, I'm met with something else. A white Mercedes SUV, parked right at the edge of my property. And standing beside it, the woman from last night. She's not alone this time. Another HOA type, a wiry man with graying hair and a clipboard, stands next to her, both of them whispering in hushed but urgent tones. The way they glance toward my hangar, their expressions tight with scrutiny, tells me everything I need to know. I take a slow sip of my coffee, watching them from the steps of my home. If they were hoping to be subtle, they're failing miserably. Finally, the woman, Karen, I'm calling her Karen because, well, it fits, turns on her heel and strides toward me like she owns the place. The man follows a step behind, already scribbling something down. "Good morning," I say, keeping my voice smooth. Karen's smile is tight, forced. "Mr. Carter, was it?" I don't remember giving her my name. "Yes." She gestures vaguely toward my hangar, where my jet is still parked. "We did some checking, and there seems to be some discrepancy about your use of this property." I raise an eyebrow. "A discrepancy?" The man clears his throat, adjusting his clipboard. "Yes, well, this neighborhood falls under the jurisdiction of the Woodcrest Homeowners Association. And as per our regulations..." I cut him off with a sharp chuckle. This property isn't part of your HOA. Karen's smile falters. That's debatable. No, it's not, I reply, taking another sip of coffee. I bought this land before your HOA was even formed. It was zoned for private use, still is. Your rules don't apply here. Karen's fingers twitch. Regardless, she says, her voice growing sharper, we have received multiple complaints about unusual aircraft activity. I suppress the urge to roll my eyes. Unusual aircraft activity. Like I'm running a cartel, instead of, flying my own damn plane. I exhale slowly. So, let me get this straight. I glance at Karen, then at clipboard guy. Decided to investigate my private property because some neighbors are uncomfortable seeing a black man land a jet in his own backyard? Karen stiffens. That is not what this is about. But the flicker in her eyes tells me otherwise. I hold her gaze. Then what is it about? The man shifts uncomfortably. Karen straightens her posture, smoothing her blouse like she's resetting herself. We just want to ensure everyone follows the rules. I let the silence stretch between us. She's not backing down. Neither am I. But something tells me this isn't over. The next few days feel different. It starts with little things. A slow-moving black SUV parked near my private road for hours. A few too many neighborhood walkers suddenly finding new routes that conveniently pass by my airstrip, their eyes lingering too long. And then the drone, small, buzzing in the sky above my hangar, hovering like an unwanted guest. Someone is watching me. I try to ignore it. I have work to do, meetings, flights to schedule, deals to close. But the feeling lingers, an itch at the back of my mind. And then the official letter arrives. A cease and desist from the Woodcrest Homeowners Association, signed by none other than Karen Whitmore, HOA president. I scan the document, barely suppressing a laugh. Your aircraft operations violate community regulations and must be terminated immediately. Ridiculous. I knew she wasn't letting this go. But this? She's overplaying her hand. I don't waste time. I drive straight to the HOA office, a sleek but sterile building at the center of the neighborhood. When I walk in, a receptionist, blonde, mid-40s, tight smile, looks up and immediately stiffens. I get it. A black man in a tailored suit, walking in like he owns something, tends to make certain people uneasy. I need to speak with Karen Whitmore, I say, placing the cease and desist on the counter. The woman hesitates, but before she can answer, a door opens down the hall. Karen steps out. She doesn't even look surprised to see me. She was expecting this. Mr. Carter, she says, her voice dripping with mock politeness. I was just about to reach out to you. Lucky me? I deadpan. You want to explain this? I hold up the letter. Karen clasps her hands together, her expression all business. We take community regulations very seriously. Your airfield has become a disturbance. A disturbance to who? I ask, voice sharp. Because I've lived here for years. No complaints. No issues. But the moment I land a jet in my own backyard, suddenly, there's a problem? Karen barely blinks. It's not personal, Mr. Carter. These rules apply to everyone. I lean forward, lowering my voice just enough to make her shift.
No, Karen.
They don't. Because I can name at least 3 homeowners in this community who have boats, RVs, even helipads. But you're not sending them cease and desist letters, are you? Her lips tighten. That's what I thought. You don't belong to this HOA, she says, deflecting. That's the issue. I chuckle, shaking my head.
Right.
And yet, you're acting like you have jurisdiction over me. Karen crosses her arms. We've filed a complaint with the county zoning board. I freeze. There it is. This isn't just about me anymore. She's trying to weaponize the system, to make it official, to use bureaucracy as a club to force me out. I stare at her, my pulse slow and steady. You don't know who you're messing with, do you? Karen smirks. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. She turns on her heel and walks away. I exhale, rolling my shoulders. This isn't a game anymore. Fine. She wants to play? Let's play. Gathering the evidence. I make a call. Jay, I need you to pull something for me, I say as I step into my car. Jay Ramirez, my lawyer, my friend, and a man who lives for situations like this, laughs on the other end. Tell me it's about that HOA nonsense you mentioned. Oh, it's worse, I say, gripping the wheel. She's trying to file zoning violations. Jay whistles. That's bold. She doesn't know you own the damn land, does she? She will soon, I mutter. But first, I need receipts. Every HOA complaint they've ignored. Every special exemption they've given to certain neighbors. I want proof of discrimination, favoritism, everything. Jay chuckles. Consider it done. I hang up and pull into my private hangar. My staff is already waiting inside, eyes flicking toward me with curiosity. Boss, we saw some folks snooping around the perimeter this morning, my head of security, Marcus, says. Took some photos. Want to see? I nod, and Marcus hands me his phone. I scroll through the pictures. 2 men in suits near my fence line. Karen among them, pointing toward my jet. Another shot shows the same black SUV I've been seeing parked a block away. They're watching. They're gathering their own evidence, trying to build a case against me. But they have no idea what's coming. Because I've already won. They just don't know it yet. 2 days later, I get the email. Mr. Carter, you are required to attend an emergency HOA board meeting regarding the unauthorized use of your property for aircraft operations. Failure to comply may result in legal action. I smirk. They're really doing this. Karen thinks she's won. Thinks she's backed me into a corner, that she's playing on her turf, where she makes the rules. But what she doesn't know is that I've been 10 steps ahead since the moment she pulled the stunt. So I show up. The HOA meeting is held in the neighborhood clubhouse, a gaudy, full luxury building that screams rich but soulless. When I walk in, the air is thick with anticipation. A long mahogany table sits at the front of the room, with Karen and her board members perched behind it like self-proclaimed rulers of suburbia. The room is packed. Neighbors whisper as I pass, some pretending not to look, others staring outright. I spot a few who I know have helipads and RVs in their backyards, looking anywhere but at me. Cowards. Karen clears her throat, her smile tight as she gestures toward an empty chair. Mr. Carter, please have a seat. I don't. I cross my arms, tilting my head. Let's skip the theatrics, Karen. I assume you've gathered everyone here to publicly humiliate me. A ripple of murmurs spreads through the room. Karen feigns a polite chuckle. Of course not. This is simply a matter of ensuring community compliance. You've been operating aircraft in a residential neighborhood, an unacceptable violation. I raise an eyebrow. Unacceptable? Strange. Because I happen to have county zoning documents that say otherwise. Her smile flickers. Excuse me? I reach into my jacket pocket and pull out a stack of neatly bound papers. Here's the original zoning approval for my private airstrip, signed by the county before this HOA even existed. And here, I flip to the next page. Our property records showing that my land was never annexed under HOA jurisdiction. Legally, you have zero authority over me. I toss the documents onto the table. The silence is delicious. Karen's face twitches. The board members glance at each other, unsure of what to say. But I'm not done. I step forward, lowering my voice just enough to make her lean in. See, Karen, what you really tried to do wasn't about compliance. You saw a black man in a private jet and thought, he doesn't belong here. Her nostrils flare. That is not true. I cut her off, voice sharper now. Then explain this. I pull out a folder, the one Jay compiled. I drop it onto the table and flip it open. Page 1. A homeowner named Richard Caldwell. White, wealthy, granted an exemption for his helicopter pad. Page 2. A family with an RV garage, approved without question. Page 3. A complaint from a black family about racial profiling at the clubhouse, ignored. The evidence keeps going. Karen's face drains of color. I hear gasps in the crowd. A few board members suddenly look very uncomfortable. I let the silence stretch before leaning in. So tell me, Karen, why am I the only one getting a cease and desist? Her mouth opens and closes, but no words come out. She knows she's been caught. But she's not ready to go down without a fight. Karen straightens, gripping the edges of the table. Regardless of your claims, we've already filed a complaint with the zoning board. So, unless you have a magic way of making that disappear, this isn't over. I chuckle. Actually, it is. I turn to the back of the room. The doors swing open, and in walks Councilman Derek Owens. Karen's jaw drops. Derek, black, sharp-dressed, and very much the county official overseeing zoning regulations, steps forward with a slow shake of his head. Ms. Whitmore, I reviewed your complaint. It's baseless. And since you knowingly filed false zoning violations, you've put yourself at legal risk. Karen goes rigid. Derek glances at me, smirking. Mr. Carter, your airstrip is perfectly legal. You're free to continue operations without harassment. Karen's hands clench into fists. Her whole world is crumbling in real time, and she knows it. I smile. Looks like I do have a magic way of making that complaint disappear. The room erupts. Karen stumbles back as the murmurs turn to full-blown chatter. Some neighbors glare at her. Others start slipping toward the exit, wanting nothing to do with this disaster. I step closer, voice low enough for only her to hear. Next time you try to pull something like this, make sure you're playing with someone you can actually beat. I give her a slow, deliberate nod. Then I turn and walk out.
Game.
Over. Karen is shaking. The HOA boardroom, once her personal kingdom, is now her courtroom. The people she controlled with fear, snide remarks, and backdoor deals? They're watching her burn. And I'm the one holding the match. Councilman Owens's voice is still echoing through the room. Knowingly filing false zoning complaints? That's a legal offense, Ms. Whitmore. Karen's mouth is opening and closing, but she is nothing. No comeback. No clever manipulation. Just panic. Her eyes dart to her allies on the HOA board, except, suddenly, she doesn't have any. The wiry man with the clipboard, the same one who'd followed her around like a lackey, he shifts away from her like she's contagious. Another board member, a red-haired woman in pearls, adjusts her posture and clears her throat. I think we should take a recess, the woman stammers, looking anywhere but at Karen. Oh, they're scattering. The moment they smell blood, they're jumping ship. Karen knows it. Her face twists, cycling between anger and desperation. And that's when she does something reckless. She slams both hands on the table. This is a setup, she hisses. This is intimidation. The room stiffens. I exhale slowly, shaking my head.
Karen.
You did this to yourself. She snaps. She whirls on me, her voice cracking. You think you're so damn smart, don't you? Waving around your little evidence, like you're some kind of hero? She scoffs, eyes narrowing. You don't belong here. There it is. The truth. Raw and ugly. She doesn't even realize what she's just said until the murmurs explode around the room. I see it hit her, like a bullet she fired straight into her own foot. No, that's not. I didn't mean it like that. She whirls around, looking for anyone to defend her. What I meant was. We all heard you, Karen. Someone calls from the back. I turn to see a man standing up. Mid-40s, salt and pepper beard. One of the few black homeowners in this community. His arms are crossed. His face? Pure disappointment. You said the quiet part out loud, he continues. You just couldn't stand seeing a successful black man living better than you, huh? Karen blanches. Then, the final nail. Actually, I have something to add. The voice comes from the side of the room. I turn, and I swear, Karen looks like she's about to faint. Because stepping forward, holding a sleek silver laptop, is Marcus. My head of security. He nods at me, calm as ever, then looks at the councilman. Sir, my team gathered some footage over the last week. I think you'll find it interesting. He clicks the keyboard. The screen flickers to life. And then, boom, Karen's final undoing. On the screen, a high-definition video. Karen, standing outside my property. She's with two men, the ones who'd been lurking around, spying. The footage has audio. He doesn't deserve this. He's not one of us. A loud gasp ripples through the crowd. Karen freezes. Another clip. One of the drone recordings. It wasn't mine. It was hers. The HOA sent drones to record my airstrip, to manufacture violations. A third clip. Karen, in a private conversation with a board member. We'll find a way to push him out. Just watch. The silence is thick. I glance at Karen. Her face is pure horror. Want to say that was taken out of context too? I ask, tilting my head. Karen snaps. She lunges for Marcus, grabbing at the laptop. Turn that OFF. Marcus steps back. Nope. You can't this is. I'll sue you, she screeches. Councilman Owens folds his arms. Actually, you illegally surveilled a private citizen. That's a felony, Ms. Whitmore. Karen's breath hitches. The room erupts. Some people are laughing. Others are shaking their heads. A few are filming her meltdown. Oh, it's over. She knows it, but she's still trying.
Desperate.
She turns on her own board. Dio something, she shrieks at them. Pearl's lady steps back, hands raised. I had no idea you were doing all this. Clipboard guy clears his throat. I think the board should hold a vote on Ms. Whitmore's position. Karen's face drains. You wouldn't. The woman in pearls lifts her chin. All in favor of removing Ms. Whitmore as HOA president. A few hands shoot up. Then more. Then all of them. Karen stares, shaking. No, she whispers. No, no, no. You did this to yourself, Karen. I say quietly. And with that, her kingdom crumbles. A local reporter steps forward. Mr. Carter, can you comment on these allegations of racial discrimination within the HOA?
Oh.
She's about to go viral. Karen spins toward me. Her face is pure hatred. You think this is funny? I smile. I think it's justice. She snaps. She grabs her purse and runs. Out the door. Humiliated.
Exposed. Done.
I watch her go, then exhale, shaking my head. Marcus smirks. So, think she's still gonna file that zoning complaint? I chuckle. Not unless she wants to file it from jail. And just like that, the tables have turned. 2 days later, Karen Whitmore's entire life is in flames. Her name is trending for all the wrong reasons. The videos from the HOA meeting? Viral. Every major news outlet has picked up the story. Racist HOA president tries to run black homeowner out, ends in disgrace. Karen's house? Surrounded by reporters. Her job?
Gone.
She worked for a real estate firm, and, well, turns out they don't like publicly exposed bigots on their payroll. The HOA? Collapsing. The board held an emergency vote. Not only was Karen fired as president, but the entire HOA is now under investigation for racially biased policies. The county is looking into other complaints they've ignored over the years. And the cherry on top? Karen is facing criminal charges for illegal surveillance and falsifying reports. They're calling it the Whitmore scandal. I call it justice. Reclaiming peace. I step out onto my property, inhaling the fresh morning air. No HOA letters in my mailbox. No nosy drones hovering above. No Karen. Just peace. The distant hum of my private jet echoes as it taxis down the runway. It's mine. It's always been mine. And now, I get to enjoy it without harassment. A knock sounds on my front gate. I turn. It's Richard Caldwell, the older white homeowner who got the special treatment from Karen. The one with the helicopter pad. I raise an eyebrow. Need something? He shifts, looking uncomfortable. He glances at the ground, then back at me. I wanted to say something. I fold my arms. Go on. He exhales. I should have spoken up sooner. I knew Karen was targeting you, but he hesitates. I didn't want to rock the boat. I stay silent. He shakes his head. Watching that meeting, seeing how she talked about you, how she lied. It made me realize something. I let her get away with it. His voice is thick with regret. We all did. For a moment, I just look at him. Then I nod.
Yeah.
You did. He flinches, but doesn't argue. But I continue, recognizing it is the first step. What you do next? That's what really matters. He nods slowly, taking that in. If there's anything I can do to help fix this mess, let me know. I study him for a second before answering. Make sure it doesn't happen again. He nods. I will. Then he turns and walks away. I watch him go, exhaling deeply. Some people never change. But some actually learn. The final word. That evening, I sit on my porch, watching the sunset. Marcus pulls up in his SUV, steps out with a smug grin. So, rumor has it Karen's house is up for sale. I smirk, not surprised. She can't show her face around here anymore. He chuckles. Guess she finally learned what it feels like to be pushed out. I shake my head, sipping my drink. Karma moves fast. He nods toward my jet in the distance. Speaking of which, where are you flying next? I glance at the sky, the open runway before me. Anywhere I damn well please. And this time, no one's stopping me.